Hey everybody, welcome to Heal Yourself Naturally. I'm Nicole Dromi. I'm here with Sarah and Hava. We are diving today back into our topic of skin. Last week we talked a little bit about skin and about burns and wounds and cuts, scrapes, what to do, how to keep them from getting infected, what to do if they do get infected. And today we're diving a little bit deeper into our topic of skin. And we'll cover things like eczema, psoriasis, different rashes, hives, acne, skin cancer, rosacea, all of that lovely stuff. But we really want to talk about each individual topic so that we can really, because skin is such a broad thing, right? And if for any of you who haven't been on our podcast before, we do talk about broader topics and try to narrow down different types of treatments and herbs to recommend. But now we're taking a deeper dive into things. And so skin has been broken down into 3 different podcasts, and this is our second podcast of skin. So let's get straight to it. Let's talk about the lovely eczema. Eczema is something that we see in a lot of people nowadays, children and adults alike, but mostly we see it in a lot of children nowadays. I don't think and I do have younger children, and typically in every single one of my children's friends group, there's always 1 or 2 kids who suffer from eczema and they have severe breakouts during all times of the year. And so I really want to understand from both of you, what is the cause of eczema? Let's start with Chava. What is the main cause of eczema?
Okay, we just spoke earlier about some cases of eczema, and the fun part for me when it comes to the skin health that I don't on my it kind of twisted, but I'm not really interested in the names of diseases, but I'm interested to see um, um, just the situation of a conversation that the body has with us. And so eczema and all issues by me, they're all combined into one simple problem. And the simple problem is that our skin is an extra pair of kidneys and extra and lungs for breathing. And when one of those are not working correctly, we see the stuff straight on the skin. So most children, when they get some sort of a rashes, when they get an eczema, okay, so we'll speak for simple people because they do need the name, the name. Okay, so eczema is a rash. When there is something on the skin that just tells you there is a problem inside of us. So, and when the problem is inside of the child, it can be digestive, it can be allergic, it can be many compounds. And I usually say the skin are when the one of organs, eliminative organs, are not working correctly, that the body is doing what it's designed to do, is fix itself, and it throws toxins to the skin. So whenever you see the children suffering from these patches or itchiness or scabies, whatever, it's all because our digestive system is not working correctly. Our kidneys are not doing what they're designed to do, and our lungs are not designed and also not doing, they're not working correctly. Basically, that's what I'm trying to say here. So that's for me what eczema is. Very simple: toxicity, internal toxicity thrown to the skin. And because the skin is a pair of lungs, so we need to breathe, and when we're not breathing toxins correctly, it comes to the surface. Hopefully I was able kind of to explain this in
No, I get it. I
simplified
think,
way.
yeah, in layman's
It's a
terms, I think
very
it's a great.
simplified for that's what we spoke me and Sara before, because some people will come tell, no, this dermatitis, this it doesn't matter the name. I don't really care the names. You see what's on the surface. Once you see something on the surface, that means internally the organs are not organs are malfunctioning. That's it.
So basically, in layman's terms, which I mean, you did define it very simply for people. The skin diseases or problems that I mentioned before, like eczema, rosacea, psoriasis, things like that. It means high toxic levels in our body, and our body is extricating it through the skin. So a skin is actually it's a good sign when things like that happen, because internally we can't really see what's happening and we ignore signs that our body gives us. But when it's in on the skin, it's hard to ignore because it's in your face, right? And it can become extremely uncomfortable in a lot of cases, especially when there's eczema all over the face or the hands or elbows and things like that, places where they're hard to ignore. So it's kind of like your body saying, hello, alert, alert, stop
Right.
doing what you're doing, clean me up, clean up the food, clean up. So yeah, so I like
something. Yeah, it's not, sometimes it
right,
can be food, sometimes it can be emotions, sometimes there's many things that can trigger it. But as
right.
soon you see something on the skin, patches, as we mentioned before, the red flag, internally something is not okay. So that's
Right.
like, this is the most simplified way to look at the issue. And
Okay.
that's how I try to pass
So,
this to
Sarah,
people.
in a process of elimination, when a client comes to you with a problem like eczema, how do you begin to try to steer them or try to find out what is it that's causing their body, right? Because we want to eliminate the factor that's causing this type of reaction. So, how do you do that with them?
Yeah, so I kind of look at it a slightly different way. Of course, it is about, the body not jiving with something inside.
Right.
It's usually internal. And I totally agree that way. The skin is we it's almost a mirror to the inside of the body. And it's funny, isn't it, that many treatments, conventional treatments for skin are topical. Whereas we want topical to help soothe, but we're always looking internally if there's something on the skin. And eczema is clearly a great representation of that. And I always actually, organs of elimination are important to address lung function, sure, kidneys, but liver. Liver sees through the skin in my training. Chinese medicine, it sees through the eye, but it's the liver. So I'm curious in what kind of foods could be irritating this person, and the elimination diet that I would recommend, and also nutritional support as well. And so I'm looking at dairy, wheat, soy, you know, um, eggs. These are the main allergens for the most part that for some reason, right? And we can I guess postulate, and we can try to guess what the reason is, that people have food allergies. One is leaky gut. So I am suggesting people go off those at least four things. And or if you're obviously, if it's a child and you're breastfeeding, mommy needs to stay away from that stuff. Super hard for kids to change up their diet. I get it. But, you've got to figure out what the trigger foods are. Oh, yeah, and sugar. Sugar's huge. So there's five.
Yeah.
So you can either start with one and get rid of it and make it easy for the kid, or you can take them all away. And a typical elimination diet is you take them away, wait about 2 weeks or so,
Yeah.
and start introducing one at a time. I mean, you can do that, or you can just start taking one away at a time. It really depends on how you
Right.
want to look at it. And then I'm supporting the liver. You know, you can do that with supplements. But that's the elimination diet that I would have. Those are the major five foods that typically are associated with eczema. Now, there are rare cases where, and I've just in talking with people and doing this work, that their child had eczema and they were thinking they were doing everything right, but it turned out that they actually had an irritation to a supplement that they were taking, and that was the cause, and it was essential fatty acids. And that's usually what we suggest for parents to
Right.
introduce to the child who has eczema. But in this strange case, the child was allergic to the fish oil they were taking. So there you go. So, it's an allergy. And I believe the first insult for many people is vaccinations. But I know kids who have not been vaccinated that have eczema. So they're being born with leaky gut, and we need to heal the gut as well.
Right.
I know that's another part of the talk, but start with those 5 foods: sugar,
Right.
soy,
Dairy.
dairy, and eggs.
And I would add on top, if that's okay, one more thing while you're speaking that come up into my mind is, as we mentioned, and many babies are the ones that are suffering. So it's really crucial to look at the health of the mom. And I found that even if the children are not vaccinated, but the mom, while she was pregnant, specifically at the closer to the delivery date, for some reason they do this test, and sometimes the tests come out that there is some sort of a kind of infection maybe, or there is not enough, like there's might be some sort of a UTI maybe, I don't know. There's something. What they do is, and they put moms on antibiotics.
Oh yeah.
Oh, for group B strep.
Group
Yeah.
B strep.
Yeah, whatever they
Yeah.
do, the strep, and when basically the woman's body is preparing for the delivery, and it's normal to have a little bit of acidity and not to have a normal, which is a normal part of life, whatever. But
Right.
because extra checking, extra digging in, I've seen that many moms who've been healthy through the delivery, but closer to the delivery, been given antibiotics, the
Right.
children can have eczema.
Oh
So
yeah.
many parents might think, yeah, but I'm healthy. My child never got this and that. So I usually go over to the mom or go check something with the dad. But there is something triggers that many moms don't understand. That they feel like if the child just born, he just came to the world, why he should have it? Well, he carries everything.
Yeah, we pass it down. Right.
Yeah, it's because the baby is built from your blood, from you giving everything to him. And if you're nursing the baby, many times the doctors will suggest, if the child have an eczema or something, they will not just topical, but they will also suggest to mom stop nursing, which is another ridiculous thing.
Which is so protective.
But that's in that case, mom needs to really watch herself. So yeah, that's what
And
I
we
wanted
should also
to
mention, the child might not be vaccinated, but they got the vitamin K shot, which has aluminum.
If
And we
they
know
got
aluminum is associated with these atopic diseases like asthma and eczema.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Boom.
Parents, read the insert slip.
Look.
Ask for it. You may be thinking you're doing something good for your child, but at the end of the day, and it's kind of funny and ironic, but they're like, but I'm doing everything my doctor's telling me. How come they have asthma? How come they have eczema? Where it's, well, the big side effect of most of these things.
You're doing everything.
You're doing everything that the doctor tells you to do. And then you come back for asthma and eczema. So they're like, cha-ching, cha-ching. Okay, so that's why we're here. Let's talk about some solutions for eczema, right? We talked about cleaning diet, elimination diet, figuring out what it is that's causing this. Is it the parents? Is it in a case of a baby, right? Is it the mother or father that's passed this down somehow? If it's an older child, I agree with eliminating everything. Like you said, sometimes it's harder for children because it's not communicated. The reason for why is not communicated. So they feel like you're taking everything away,
Right.
but you're not giving anything in return. You're not explaining to them. You're not even a young child, the decision has to come together. So together you weigh options with your child and you educate. You don't just do and dictate.
Right.
So a huge part of what we're doing with you guys is educating so that you can pass down this information to your children or loved ones or whomever, but you're not dictating, you are educating. and you're making a decision with them so that they feel like they are part of that decision. And and
Totally.
in almost all cases, you'll have children that are on board,
Yeah.
right? You'll get the stubborn ones, but sometimes you really just have to hammer it home and have them understand, okay, well, we're taking it away from now. That doesn't mean that everything's going to be taken away. You reintroduce, like Sara mentioned, and if you see that that certain item off that, list as not causing it, then they get rewarded with having it back into their diet. But let's talk about herbal solutions. Some herbal solutions and some things that can either provide help to the liver or cleanse the liver. I know there's some things that we can do to cleanse the liver or just support. So let's talk about that. Sara, what are a couple of things? And then we'll go to Chava for a
Yeah.
couple of things.
So, I have helped people with eczema before, and I'm I'm introducing actually in this one case, in particular, most recently was CBD oil, which internally and externally is an amazing product for eczema. Um, and so that's number one. And CBD oil is very safe for children. And of course, if mom's breastfeeding, then mom would do it. And so that can be used internally or externally. I always do suggest something topically just to soothe. And so that would be things like plantain and calendula. Calendula is probably the number one thing I use for eczema. It takes
Right.
away the irritation. And there's some kids that have such severe eczema though, their skin doesn't even soak things in, which is so very sad. So those are extreme cases, and that's kind of like it's always a case by case basis. So this is really just generalized suggestions for mild to moderate eczema, because I've actually seen people with eczema all over their bodies, including their face. And
Right.
these children are taking bleach baths, which is a horrible, horrible practice.
Oh
So
yeah.
Which,
sad.
I'm sorry, but that's horrible. There's so many other things you could be doing. So calendula and plantain, um, externally, topically in a salve is beautiful, or a spray is fine too. You could do tea. And I would actually do those things internally as well. And we're supporting the gut with the plantain, and the calendula is wonderful for the liver as well as the gut. And I'd introduce things like burdock root or dandelion root for, supporting the liver's elimination process. And there's a lot of other things we're doing for the gut. So we've got the elimination diet. But to heal the gut, I really love, bye sweetheart. I really love Oregon grapefruit. It's a substitute for golden seal, and it's not as expensive, and it's not an endangered plant, so I use it for the berberine. It's wonderful for sinuses. It's wonderful for anything with a mucosal layer, a slimy layer in the body. It will help just reset the gut. And then we're doing probiotics. We're doing, and if it's a small child, you just research it a little bit, because their guts are a little bit different. If they're under like 2 years old, you want to really stick to a lot of the bifidus strains and the acidophilus. If they're older, you can get into the different strains. But I'm absolutely doing probiotics during the day, and probably a gut cleanse at night for about 2 weeks. And then we're supporting the liver with burdock, dandelion, calendula, plantain, and we're also doing the calendula and plantain topically. You can do in the bath, you can add oatmeal. I suggest people get some nice organic oatmeal, cook it up on the stove, and use that water in the bath. Wonderful. And you can make a bath tea with these herbs as well, and just try to incorporate this mindset of reducing the inflammation in several different ways. So that's the things that I would do. And when my child had eczema, of course, I did a lot of it with diet. She had the beginnings of what some parents I could see deal with more on an extreme basis. But because I was such a food snob when my children were younger, you could tell the eczema got worse when she went to the grandparents' house, because she was eating the macaroni and cheese in a box, and there's something about that powdered cheese that is so inflammatory to these kids.
Right.
So stay the hell away from that stuff. It's
Right.
it's horrible. And the sugar.
And
So
at school, when they trade things with their friends,
yeah.
even though you
Well,
may
I
be packing
homeschooled,
healthy.
so I didn't have that problem,
Yeah,
but absolutely, Nicole.
right.
So, you know, I did it mostly with my child because it wasn't so extreme. I did it with diet, but it was easy because I always fed my kids the foods that I, you know, the good foods, fruits
Right,
and vegetables, key.
right.
But anyway, that's my like multi-system area approach, whatever.
Right. What are some additional herbs or methods of helping someone with eczema that you could suggest, Hava?
Can you
I muted them.
unmute? Okay, thank you. Okay, did you ask me? I kind of lost.
Yeah, yeah. What are some additional suggestions? Because I know I've heard you mention mostly all of these herbs and
Right.
methods as well, but I know you have a couple more, so I want to hear them just for people who,
I agree with Sarah in everything that she mentioned. Um, um, Diet plays a very important role, and Sarah covered about the bowels, and I usually do suggest make sure that whenever the children suffering or any human suffering from eczema, you should double check about your digestive organs. Now, and I found that in most cases, our children are not moving their bowels, and not just children. We speak for overall for everyone. So
yeah,
children
people,
and
period.
adults
Yeah.
and people are not moving their bowels. So it's very, very crucial to understand that all the diseases, they come when the bowels are not clean. So I would suggest the bardock root, my bowel food formula. That's why I made a bowel food formula for babies, bowel food formula for children, bowel food formula for everyone, because this is the source of all the problems. And then I would add probiotics, like Sarah said, 100% probiotics. And I work with the mother who invented the probiotics. So the one that I use very successful is called Life Start Pro. It contains all the necessary bacteria that we need for the babies. So I would suggest that. Now, how often and how much do you take? It needs to be taken gradually. Many people think as much probiotics, the best. That's not correct. You have to know how to work with probiotics, because too good also can harm. Not that they can harm, but they suddenly can do a strong reaction. It's called like detoxifying reaction, which in some ways it looks good, but if your child already, or you or whoever, suffering from horrible skin rashes and itching, now you don't want to aggravate the situation. So what you want to do is gently. So I would start at 1 capsule a day, then you can increase to 2 and work this way up, and then you can obviously continue playing with other bacteria, but that's the idea. Then another thing is very important, that in that case, that echinacea is very good, because I found echinacea really helps to boost the immune system, and that's what your body needs when you're suffering, going through something. So echinacea is incredible, and bardock root is my favorite as well. And the chickweed is also very good. I found the chickweed bath helps very much.
Right.
And I have even images people send me of their grandchildren, of their children playing in the bath with a chickweed, in the chickweed bath. And oatmeal is incredible as well. But also you have to use your common sense. And that's here is very important, where your intuition needs to kick in, because we're suggesting ideas, but let's say we suggest like oatmeal, and then you say, okay, so I'm just going to do oatmeal. But if you see that maybe it's not correct for you, meaning that you do the oatmeal and then you see it maybe dries out too much, or doing something else, then stop and do something else. The idea is that you should always try, and not be afraid. And I've seen a lot of people who, let's say I give them suggestion, and they just, that I usually give couple suggestions, but people kind of take all the suggestions, Biaga, together, and they're like combining all together, and then they don't know what to do anymore because they're like doing this and that. That's not correct. Use your common sense. Start with one see
thing.
how it works. Yeah, one at a time, because if you do too much, then you're gonna lose a track, and also you'll never know what really helps. Or so it's really important using common sense, and many people are I think in our times common sense is like become something very rare. And one more thing that I wanted to mention, oh, it's opening the skin, making sure that you no longer introduce toxins, and toxins are soaps, junky soaps, all these fancy oils. Many people clog their skin, and as I mentioned in the beginning, our skin is a pair of lungs, and if we block them, then we're in trouble. And that's exactly what Sara said in the beginning, that many doctors, what they do, they give you a medicine to apply. Now, the body now, this is like all of you need to understand. The body now tells you, I want this garbage out of your body. So the garbage comes to the surface of the skin. And what most people do, they take a cream, apply it. They're waiting for miracle to happen. Right now, you just blocked what the body said, I don't want. So what you did, you basically sealed the problem. It's the biggest mistake. You need to do an opposite. When there's something comes to the surface, your job is to soak it in a bath, to opening up, to do a little bit, circulation, some clapping, not necessarily over the area where is the problem, but around, to bring in circulation and opening up. That's why sauna is very good. All those stuff are incredible. So that's what I wanted to add into it.
The opening channels, yes, for
Yeah,
sure. I
opening the
agree.
channels.
Instead of running to, well, I mean, you could run to a dermatologist to see what the problem is. We never say don't, go to the doctor if it's,
Right.
part of finding out what the issue is. But the solution doesn't always lie with what they give you, because in typical sense, a doctor will give you a steroid or an antibiotic cream or something, and it'll actually do the reverse of what you want. We want to increase good bacteria, not reduce. We want to unclog. We don't want to clog. So think logically. And like Hava and Sara mentioned at the beginning, these types of skin problems are usually an internal problem coming up as a message that your body is sending. So we want to basically cleanse internally so that externally our skin will actually heal. So now let's talk about psoriasis is very similar in a sense to eczema. It's a different problem, but it's similar in a sense that it's a toxicity issue in the body coming out. Let's talk a little bit more about psoriasis. Sara, what are your suggestions? First of all, let's define it, its similarities to eczema or whatnot, and what are some suggestions for how someone can help heal this issue?
Yeah, so psoriasis, is very similar to eczema, especially this new eczema, because there's like an autoimmune or immune component to eczema as well, but psoriasis is autoimmune. So what happens is it's on the very deeper levels or the deeper layers of the skin. There's the dermis, the epidermis, and when you get down a little deeper, you're actually, there are immune cells that are interacting with that skin, and it's not interacting in a proper way, and then you start creating more skin cells. Essentially is what psoriasis is, and it's considered an autoimmune thing. And so then you get these psoriatic plaques is what they're called. So usually, like eczema it can be more broad, it can cover more area. I mean, I've seen psoriasis pretty bad in people too, but there's usually just patches of psoriasis, and it's dry and it's usually scaly and it does look different.
Yes.
There's different types of psoriasis too. I've seen people who have psoriasis that are just like dots all over their body, which is interesting. And it's
elbows,
and on the elbow usually, and a lot of times eczema is elbows, in the backs of the
knees, right,
and on the eyelids and around the mouth, and I see a lot of people with psoriasis on the top of their head,
Yeah.
on
Oh,
their elbows and knees, and yeah, and back here on the nape of the neck. Yep. And so and that's what psoriasis is. It's an autoimmune skin issue, and you have to be careful what you use for internally for psoriasis for the immune system because it's autoimmune. But that's
Right.
that's the simple definition of what
yeah.
Right.
psoriasis is. And it
Now,
tends
what
to
can be
run in
used?
families. Yeah, it tends to run in families. Yeah.
What can be used, would you suggest, to help with that
Yeah,
type
so
of issue?
so you never want to stimulate the immune system. So we're
Right.
staying away from certain mushrooms and certain herbs like astragalus that really stimulate. And so we're really reaching for herbs and mushrooms that modulate. My favorites are reishi and cordyceps to modulate. And I also like echinacea to modulate. But, echinacea out there in the ethers is considered a stimulant, but it is not. It's actually a modulator, and it has cannabinoids just like cannabis. And so CBD is a modulator, and so is echinacea. So there's that. So CBD is a nice one too for any autoimmune issue. And so I'm treating it internally that way. I'm also wondering about an elimination diet and what's going on because it's all the same foods that irritate it, and
The
plus,
trigger it, yeah.
yeah, trigger it. Plus, it's stress related, so there's that aspect. So we're dealing with, modulating the immune system. We're looking for trouble with foods. We're healing the gut. We're addressing the stress response, and topically just to help with soothing the skin. And I have a psoriasis salve, and I use all the typical ones, calendula and plantain, and comfrey is a wonderful healer. But the number one plant that I use for psoriasis is neem.
Neem. I've
Neem.
never heard of neem.
Neem
Yeah,
oil.
neem oil.
And I add it to my psoriasis salve. And I tell you, that works so good for psoriasis. It's not going to get to the source like all those other things I talked about, but it's definitely going to help soothe, and that's what I do. And so, and it does, I mean, it does wonders. And I actually have formulated a tea as well, just to address like liver and kidney function, organs of elimination, healing the
Right.
gut. And people have just said it just stops a lot of the itchiness that they feel. Like it just really calms everything down. It's really hard to reverse an autoimmune disease once it's dug in like that.
Set, yeah.
Yeah, so we're maintaining, we're modulating, the stress response and the immune system, and we're just really trying to soothe that skin. Just so, it's very unsightly. There's a lot of women that, when summer comes, they just get so, anxious, and they don't want to show everybody their plaques that they have on their legs or on their arms, and it's nice to be able to offer some solutions that are natural, of course, not the steroids because that's what they suggest. um, and I've seen after the COVID, psoriasis went cuckoo bananas because COVID, or the vaccine, but COVID has this weird effect on any underlying issue you have in your body. And so my brother actually, oh, his psoriasis just went from neck to toe on him. And it was hard to watch, but
Wow.
that's what I do.
Alrighty, I love those suggestions. Hava, anything to add on psoriasis to help
Yeah.
alleviate and help
Well,
regulate our immune system?
well, every between 28 to 30 days, our skin replenishes. That's the beauty of the skin. That's what we usually say. If you are eating clean and you're on a clean diet and you very well hydrated, the first thing that you're gonna see is your skin gets cleaner and nicer, right? The problem with psoriasis is that it's actually every 2-3 days it regenerates, and that's why there's scaling of these patches. So I also learned that you can, it comes and goes. It's not something that usually people live with. I mean, people do live with it, but the idea is that there are something that triggers the issue, and there is something and the person can go for many years without, and then it comes back again. So in most cases, what I found is that emotional stress is the one that brings the problem in. Emotions and the lack of clean diet, like mineral deficiency. Yeah, I found that once, yes, the psoriasis is developing, we can catch it and nip it in the butt. It's not that how you say, Sarah? Nip in the butt.
In the
Yep,
bud, in
Okay,
the bud.
so
in the
yeah,
bud.
so you can in the butt. So you right away can provide
No,
herbs and treat
Not the
it.
bud. You
the
can take it
bud,
in the butt if you want.
The
flower,
bud,
Okay.
like a bud.
whatever. Okay,
Yeah.
so the idea is, I love this twist, like nip it in the butt. Oh, I'm saying this maybe for a couple of months already. I love it. Okay, but the idea is that you can, once, if it's a young child, in most cases we don't see this in the young children, but there's something that brought this into this area. So while you see this in the children, you need to nip it in the bud right away, find out the issue and treat it before, as Sarah said, it settles down.
Right.
Then when you get an older, and let's say you didn't know better, don't get upset. It's time now to clean your bowels. It's time to clean your liver. It's time to work on your kidneys. And when you work on those, your skin will start fixing itself. And the beauty of it, that I've seen so many cases of people, and the first thing that I would ask, how is your bowels? Or they would tell me, oh, I'm going one every 3 days. You know that they are actually gonna get the disease, oh, skin issue, or they will reawaken the bear that was sleeping. And then another issue I found is hydration. People don't drink enough, and then right away they can see the symptoms, the scaling of the skin, right? They're like so connected. So I usually would suggest people is to first learn about themselves. They need to learn the cycle, what brings and awakens this bear, and pizza is the one that actually can irritate. So if there is somebody who loves pizza and eating pizza all the time, might have aggravation in this situation. So basically I want the people to really um, like scan your body when you are suffering from something like psoriasis, and really learn. Many people, even, like, I'm not suggesting dig down to generations to find out why I have the problem, but today, what caused the problem today. And I always found good to writing things down, like having a notebook where you write things when you,
If you have a flare up, you're saying,
yeah,
yeah.
flare-ups, and then
Diary.
you see in a
Right.
year of doing that. Well, I'm not suggesting every day sit and write, but whenever you have a flare-up, go back a day or two before and write it down, and you'll have a full cycle what caused this problem.
Right.
In many cases it's emotional as well, and emotions are trigger this inflammation,
Right.
and everything, as we mentioned before, is about blood circulation. When the blood is not flowing, the toxin build up. It's then we have the patches on the skin. And the only thing that I would add is that in Europe we use chamomile, a
Nice.
chamomile bath, chamomile creams. That's what used in Russia and in Europe. That's what. And here, Angelica is good. I found that clapping over the area is really helpful. Clapping, like you do the massage and then you clap over those
Not
areas.
applauding, not like yay
No,
psoriasis.
yeah, but like this, but not like the one, like this new thing. There's one guy who shows everyone how he can clap someone, how he can beat shit out of someone, and he really beats them up. This is not correct way. Gentle clapping, slowly, and it's
No, because I
incredible.
would imagine that probably doesn't that injure the little capillaries and then that would inhibit. If you do it
It's
too hard, it would inhibit
well,
blood flow,
I tell
right?
you what, I saw this video of this healer doing that, and I'm like, I wrote him, I wrote the guy, and like, this is not what you do. This is you're not doing this a correct way. And people was laughing, like they say, ha 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 ha. It's not funny, because if somebody will listen and do that, they can actually cause individual to go into the shock and even faint. That's how severe it is. It's not a joke here. We're not joking here by, oh, clapping, let's clap till it gets brown. You don't do that. It's like, it's slowly learning about yourself. That's why I do these videos, to show that, okay, let's first learning about your body. Touch. You feel something. You feel pain in your stomach. Massage it. That can
Yeah.
also help your psoriasis. You know why? Because everything is in the gut. So if you touch your gut, you actually can help to heal the problems that you have, psoriasis or any other skin issues. That's how we are so connected, that I want people
Right.
to understand that. Okay. Yeah. So that's the two things that I would add into this
Okay,
case.
let's quickly talk about hives. Hives
Yeah. Hives.
generally are a reaction to an allergy, whether it be food or something external. What are some good antihistamines that you would suggest if someone does get hives, or do you have anything else to say about it other than it being caused by an allergy, Sarah?
Yeah, so one other thing to add about psoriasis, so there's one important organ that we need to address is spleen. I just want to
Yes.
say that.
I just wanted, yeah.
Yeah.
I was
So,
like,
and I
I
have
forgot mention
herbs
the
for
spleen.
spleen, things like red root, but so, and the spleen is this weird lymphatic circulatory organ. It's like, where does it go? It kind of, we don't know really what system it goes in. It's immune, it's circulatory, it's all these things. But we support that with herbs as well. And I use red root. Okay. So on to
Hives.
hives. This is something near and dear to my heart because I've acquired what's called cold urticaria, which is a mast cell activation syndrome. MCAS, it's big these days because of all the inflammation people have and all the injury, the vaccine injuries and all sorts of crap that happens out there. And so straight up hives is similar to mast cell stuff because it's all mast cells. It's all the immune
Right.
cells that live on the surface of the skin or in the surface of anything that touches the outside, lungs, gut, it has mast cells. But when you get a hive on your skin, that's absolutely, again, as we've been discussing, it's something internal that's not right. And so my go-tos are well, I love quercetin. Quercetin is an amazing, like it's a supplement. Quercetin is it's a flavonoid that's in onions and garlic. It's in a bunch of different foods. And so eating those things are a wonderful idea, but you can supplement quercetin. And I actually have a supplement that I use that's quercetin and nettle, and it's amazing. It keeps everything kind of calmed down. And so nettle is probably the number one herb as an antihistamine that and coincidentally will help with seasonal allergies as well.
Right.
So nettle, lemon balm, and ginkgo are amazing as antihistamines. They work really well together. And then you can add quercetin onto that. And I'd be doing all of this internally. Hives is such it's an issue. It's a very transient issue. So I'm not really treating hives topically unless you know, it's a prolonged reaction.
Chronic.
Well, prolonged. Like I get a hive and I'm like, okay, and it goes away pretty quickly.
Unless it's starting to spread, getting extremely itchy
But
and irritating.
well, in that case, it could be anaphylaxis. So we really want to be mindful of that. So when
Right.
we start treading between, oh, I get hives after I eat tomatoes, to, well, now I'm 2 days into hives,
Right.
I'm actually suggesting, some kind of intervention. We don't want anaphylaxis to start because if that happens, then it's not good. People can die. So
Right.
we're really just addressing mild to moderate hive situations. And if it's reoccurring, like in mast cell issues, we're absolutely uh, um, addressing it internally. And so nettles, quercetin, lemon balm, ginkgo, those are my go-to antihistamines. And then I'm also, you can put in some echinacea in there, and then liver support as well, because it's usually an allergy to something, and we want to support the organs of elimination.
Right.
And so off the top of my head, those are the things that I can think of.
Okay, any additional suggestions, Hava?
Yeah. Oh, well, I'm many cases treated different hives, and there is a, I would say there is a chronic hives, and there is a, and there is like a quick, like something that like Sara mentioned.
Transient. Yeah.
So the one that whatever the fancy name it is.
It's
Oh, so
fancy. It is a fancy word.
fancy. Okay, but so the idea is that if it suddenly comes into, we're not really talking about allergy shocks and stuff like that, but let's say if you traveled and then you get somewhere and then you start suddenly itching here a little bit, here, there. And I even had a couple cases, people who traveled overboard, and then suddenly they texted me, "Oh my gosh, I have itchiness all over my body," right? So I usually the first thing that I suggest is charcoal. I suggest to take charcoal because you don't know what the hell happening in the body, and the best detoxifier on hand at all times is charcoal. So
Internally,
I
though,
would
right?
say
Yeah.
internally. So
Internal,
I would
yeah.
usually suggest take a charcoal internally and let's sit and wait. And the next thing that I would suggest is to go in under hot water. And you might say, yeah, but the person is itching. Heat on heat will create coolness. We spoke this about the burns the
Burns,
last
right.
time. But actually, heat on heat, if you see that if you start itching all over, then I would suggest right away go on under hot water and it will calm the itchiness. And the interesting part is that as more you're going to continue itching, the more you're going to aggravate the situation. So I usually suggest instead itching, you just tap over this area. Oh, tap or clap, the way you want to call it. And that will help you because once you itching, you actually cause this antihistamine to start spreading all over the body. Next thing that I usually suggest is if the person can, and let's say it's happened randomly or whatever. So I usually suggest even go get a sauna. In a sauna, what it does, it's also heat. And what it does, it's the body again tells you whatever there's something that you inject or something that you ate or there's something emotionally that's not good, take me out from the system, right? So what is the best way is to sweat. You sweat, you remove the garbage out of the system, so that helps very much. So I even had a case, someone who traveled and she was itching, she sent me pictures and I'm like, where are you? Oh, I'm in a hotel. I said, like, okay, go there. They probably in a hotel, they have a place of the sauna. Just go there. And after taking a charcoal, she went there and took about a day and a half and she was fine. So remember that. And it's good to go into the sauna and help like to sweat out whatever the garbage is in there. So charcoal is my favorite. The next thing then, and with the chronic ones, it's very bad. Like it's so, I mean, I've had so many clients that suffering from chronic hives. That's it's a process, and it's many times comes to adult males and females, and when it's chronic, it's usually candida. So I would just go check through the diet and see what the person eats, do eliminative diet. I would suggest maybe they ought to go on clean water. Yeah, just go. Yeah, so that's not easy to treat, but I found red clover helps very much. Red clover helps to clean the blood. So anything that as soon I see something on the skin, red clover is my favorite. I don't know why, but so many cases, especially this one woman who would just suddenly get hives all over her body, and the interesting part that she was on many medications, and then she went to the doctor, the new doctor, and the doctor said, oh, why are you taking all this medication? You just need one or two. So he removed many of those, and he left with one or two, and something would happen, and she just would get those hives and was like all over. And this red clover and burdock root, red clover and burdock root, but specifically red clover, was absolutely incredible. And I even had documented pictures of someone like itching, and in a couple like hours, it's clean. So that's another way to treat, the hives. And nettles are amazing. Lobelia is amazing, even though more lobelia helps with more like asthma and stuff like that, but lobelia also helps to calm down. So lobelia is another one that I would have on hand. Those basic herbs, and especially charcoal is absolutely incredible. Charcoal is amazing, especially when you don't know what the hell happens. The first thing, you just shovel charcoal.
Yeah.
Right, because
That's how
it can't harm you, but it'll definitely soak up the toxins, right?
It's absolutely incredible. That's my first thing. Whenever I hear something, just take a charcoal first. Let's first figure out what is it. Take charcoal.
Right.
So yeah, charcoal is my favorite.
And I would say too, if there's a chronic hive situation, it's really important to find the trigger, because
oh yeah, 100%.
That's an anaphylactic, that's like a potential anaphylactic reaction to a food. And so when I eat soybeans like edamame, I found that out that I can't eat those. And you can feel the hives coming, like it's not right. And I had hives from it was just all over my body. And at that point, I didn't really do anything topically except don't itch it, and then just stop eating the food that is irritating you. That's really an important aspect to all this. And I love that you used the red clover, because the red clover it's also a lymphatic mover. So it's also a detoxifier. So that's awesome. Okay.
Well, I even tried to put the person in the bath with his own pee. There was different treatments, there's different things people can do. Now there's a whole thing about drinking your own pee and stuff like that.
Let's not get into that.
Yeah, I'm not getting there, but I'm just saying that
there are so many methods, but I love the ones that you both suggested, because they're not over the top. And again, people, we want you to understand.
But let's say you don't have nothing. What you should do, you can pee and put over the area. So that's good to know too.
I do like the suggestion. Or you can, take a hot shower like you suggested, sweat it out, things like that. I think again, the underlying, something that we keep circling back to, if nobody's connected it's something that you ate. You need to eliminate on most of these things. Something has triggered it. It's coming to the surface. Your body's saying, take me out, take me out. Listen to your body, start taking notice of what you're doing, how your your diet is. Are you cleaning things out enough? Are you doing stuff to cleanse your lymph nodes? So lymphatic drainages are great for all of the above that we've suggested, obviously. Now, we do have a couple more things to discuss, but we're nearing the end. We have about 10 or so minutes
left. We have
left.
questions.
I know we do, but we do have the topic of skin cancer, which,
Oh, no, we're not going to cover this. I think it's
I know. It is a lot. So we are going to, it's a lot, but there's a huge misconception on, what to do. So I do want to talk about it on our next one. Okay. So even though it's not part of our next discussion, we are going to make it part of our next discussion. It'll be the first thing we'll discuss, because we need a huge block for it. But let's talk about rosacea quickly, because we do have enough time for rosacea. Maybe just a couple of tips.
And acne. We forgot the acne.
Right. Acne, again, food related, toxicity related.
Can be applied to acne. Everything we've talked about can be applied to acne too.
Right. Everything we've discussed, all of these things, elimination, cleaning the liver, and supporting the kidneys. So those types of things. We have in the past talked about if it's hormone related for girls, what you can do for that. You can reach, circle back to our previous podcast. That's puberty.
Okay, fine. So let's go to rosacea.
Yeah, rosacea. Let's go to rosacea quickly, and then I do want to answer some of the questions that our viewers have posted. So, Sarah?
So conventional approaches to rosacea are usually antibiotics.
Right.
So there is a pathogenic gut bacteria involved in rosacea. I don't know what it is, but it's all in the gut.
Mm-hmm.
So, you really got to watch the sugar. It could just be candida, but I feel like there's other pathogenic bugs in there that are creating the issue. That's just my feeling. I do not know that. But the way I the way I do it is just heal the gut. I use the healing gut powder. I have people do at least a 12-day stint, follow it up with a good probiotic with bifidus strains during the day and eliminate sugar. You've got to I mean, I feel like sugar is the biggest trigger and alcohol. And those two just kill, they kill the gut microbiome, they increase pathogenic bacteria that can grow. And then topically, I'm using things like calendula or rose. I love rose for that, rose
Right.
cream or even rose water. I have a combination calendula hydrosol and rose hydrosol that are wonderful for rosacea. And all that does is really just kind of tamp down the inflammation, but you've got to treat it internally. Absolutely. Absolutely. Heal the gut, and I feel like the two triggers are sugar and alcohol. It could be wheat and all that jazz too. And so, find your trigger, address the underlying problem, which is healing the gut. But, I also want to point out today our talk is it's about the skin. But the way you said it, Nicole, is like there's a common thread through all of this, which is also immune. It's immune function. It's immune and gut.
Right.
All of them that's that common the common root
Curve.
for
Yeah,
all of it.
exactly.
So,
Right.
so that those are the things I do for rosacea. And I'm also addressing, organs of elimination, spleen function, and all that jazz too.
Right. Hava?
Okay, so what I am obviously everything what Sarah said, and let's just add on top of it. So the first thing that I mentioned before, that our skin is a extra lungs for breathing. So the most people don't understand is they don't understand what does it mean to really cleaning the skin. So most people they go in the shower and they'll just do like the soap and they use this simple loofah and blah 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 and they go out and they feel they're fine and clean. That's not the way to do it. So any problem that we have on the skin requires opening up the pores, and the opening up the pores so the skin can breathe correctly requires a good scrubber. So Korean sponges are very important. I usually suggest Korean sponge for everyone. Then I suggest turpentine soap, which is very good and helps to eliminate toxins and get rid of the bacteria and stuff. But it's very important while you're taking a shower, you're really scrubbing every inch of your body. That's one thing. Next thing, so it's really important, like because most people they don't understand. They see this beautiful images, of woman using the Dove soap and she's doing goes, oh, gentle. That's all crap. That's not what we need to do. We need to, if someone can take us a picture of us in the shower, that's not so romantic. Trust me. You're like, okay, so that's the whole idea. So that's what it's so important because people don't understand the basics.
Right.
And we cannot
Proper
jump
hygiene.
forward if we don't know what the hell the basic is. And yesterday I spoke with someone. She said, Chava, like I really like you just speak about the basics. Well, because the basics we don't know.
Yeah.
Right? And we're jumping there when we don't know even how to scrub our body. So that's number one. Next thing that I suggest is to cleaning your body, even making your own wash
Body wash?
yeah, so on my Instagram page I gave a whole beautiful body wash. It's not a body wash but body cleanser made with vodka, MSM, and few other things that I add into it, like some magnesium and stuff. And then you take on a white towel And I really want the people to tell you that after you coming out of the shower, let's say,
Oh my gosh,
not before, after,
I've used yours
you take it
after.
and you just scrub it over those areas that you think that are
Oh my
clean,
gosh, the stuff
and
that
you're
comes
gonna
off.
look at the towel and you're gonna see how dirty it is. So
It's
this is
crazy.
another way that's very important to really learn to clean everything. You know, everything is so important. Yeah. So the cleaning is about. The next thing I suggest is a gua sha. Gua sha is very good and important. So by scrubbing, let's say even on the areas that's rosacea there, why is there? It's because there's inflammation. Why is inflammation? Because toxicity. Help the garbage get out of the system, open up, do this stuff like that. Yeah, that helps very much. That's another thing that I really want people to understand, those basics. And
Yeah.
one more thing, and absolutely irrelevant, maybe to body things, but the food that I found, if anyone wants to see an amazing result, they should start grounding their own flour. I know it's like, Chava, how did you jump from there to there?
Well,
But
no,
that
I mean the wheat that we
my
have, the
body and my
flour we have
brain
nowadays
thinks
is
like in 100 different ways. Um, grounding your own flour, specifically if you have a babies, get yourself a meal grinder and start grind your own wheat, and you'll see incredible results from acne, eczema, psoriasis. Everything will just gonna away. You're not even gonna understand. You didn't do too much changes, but just one change. The basic of all houses is always a bread, and if you ground your own organic flour, you'll see incredible results. So that's another thing I wanted to add.
right. I love that. We just have a couple of minutes. Let's go over the questions.
Let's
Should
go.
we stop recording though when we?
I think I think these are good questions to keep on there. Just, something
Okay, great.
yeah. So some people believe that neem can affect fertility if taken internally. Could you please give us your opinion on that, Sarah? Could it affect fertility?
Affect fertility.
Yeah,
Well, neem in this sense would be doing it topically. So, no, not in my opinion. If you take neem internally for Lyme or for Candida, you're usually not doing it long term.
Right.
So, I'm not familiar with neem affecting fertility, although, you know, I don't know everything about all the herbs, but in my opinion, I've never seen that or heard of that. So, but in the example that I was giving for psoriasis, we're only doing it topically anyway, so it's not going
yeah.
to affect fertility, um, in my opinion, that way. That's the short
And th
answer.
and then Kava, you mentioned clover um, for hives. And it's also, so this person asks, so clover is
Or
also anti-parasitic. Do you think it's connected when treating hives?
well, the clover is a blood cleanser. So if and any problem is it, as we spoke before, everyone have I would say any problem is a problem of parasites, overgrowth of toxins. So red
Right.
clover helps to get rid of it. It helps,
To
just helps
eliminate
to clean.
toxicity, right?
Yeah, so
Good
it just
cleanser.
really helps. The clover is absolutely incredible blood cleanser, and it's been used for centuries to clean the blood from different toxins and stuff. Yeah.
So
So
all in all, I think we can summarize that, everything that we've discussed today really has to do with your diet, right? So is your gut clean? Are you supporting your gut with good probiotics? Are you cleansing certain eliminative organs? Are you helping support them? So you have to do those types of things, as well as topically clean the skin properly, open the channels, sweat it out. So like Hava said many times, it's a large organ that breathes. So if we are covering it up with lotions and toxic soaps, we are clogging those pores. We are not allowing for the job of the body to properly extricate those toxins. And if there is a buildup, you'll see problems like eczema, rosacea, hives, or psoriasis in the early stages before it becomes something that is too cemented, because it is an autoimmune problem. But all in all, I think that people can get the general picture is clean your gut, clean and support your eliminative organs. Also do some cleanses for your lymph nodes to eliminate more toxicity. And yeah, all in all, we really hope you guys understood, the message we were trying to hammer home today. Nip those problems in the butt, uh, before they become too big. I said it for Chava. I know. I didn't make much sense, but I had
Nip
to
it in
say
the
it.
butt.
Nip it in the
I
butt.
know, I like it. It's so
I
nice.
know, but I have to explain to you in the bud,
Like flower bud.
Not in the
Yeah.
butt. I understand. Not
She
in the butt.
understands.
I
She's
Oh, okay.
funny that
understand.
way.
It's not
All
in
right.
the
She gets
butt.
But
it.
you're
It's a
still
bud
gonna
too.
say butt because you like it.
Oh.
But yes, okay. So next podcast we will be, because we didn't have time today, we will be talking about skin cancer because it's very much similar in a sense to the topics we just discussed. Yeah, because it's toxicity that's accumulated for way too long. It's coming out of your skin in a cancerous form. So we want to discuss on how to aid it, what not to do, what to do. And yeah, we will see you all next time on Heal Yourself Naturally. We'll be diving much deeper into the skin. Thank you all for viewing and seeing us live if you're live with us here today.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.